Good morning. So before I start this video, I'm going to show you how cool I look for a 13-year-old girl. My hat matches my purse. I have these super cool paint overalls, animal print shoes to tie it all together, and my lucky rainbow unicorn shirt. If you guys see how well I coordinate having only the clothing options of a little boy or a teenage boy, a teenage girl, imagine if I picked out my clothes, right? So God got me out of the house today. Wait, I'm going the wrong way. And there's all these people doing, I think it's called windsurfing, but I don't know. I don't always remember things correctly. So I was going to walk the other way to the beach and get some rocks because I've been stuck in sensory overload, so the wind hurts me really, really bad. Any element, the cold, the wind, it hurts my bones incredibly bad, but also my skin, it feels like needles and itchy, right? So when I go into sensory overload, that's when I become also socially quite awkward, more than the usual. Imagine that. I'll just kind of let you guys look, because it looks really cool. There's like a whole bunch of them and a whole bunch of them. I don't know if you guys can see any of what I'm looking at, but hopefully. It's like, I don't know where this thing's going to, but it's just nice that God gives me little treats along the way when I get out and push myself to get out of bed and fight for myself, because nobody else is going to exercise this body and get this heart pumping again, right? So just taking a little stroll, I guess. No rocks today, which is probably a good thing, because I think trying to carry them back would have been horribly challenging. So I don't know if I said this already. Like I said, the more I do physically, the more cognitively my nerves just fire around and flare me up. But if you want an update for how civil county, the court thing, I can't remember the words, but everyone knows I've been talking about it. The update for that is on my video from last night, so you'll have to watch that video because it's a new day. This is awesome, you guys are doing this. It looks beautiful to watch. Look how beautiful out there. It's just like literally so soothing. Like I said, I get to recover in paradise. It's quite nice. I don't know if I told you guys why I didn't go to the beach, but the wind was blowing extremely hard, so when I tried walking into the wind, it took way too much strength and too much air out of my lungs, so I was like, screw this, I'm just gonna have the wind pushing me. So I actually have the wind pushing me quite a bit, and since my skin is like saggy like sails, it's catching the wind all over my body and just pushing me along, so that's really great. How beautiful, right? Every day is just this huge blessing. You just never know, you know what I mean? And I'm always so thankful when I push myself to fight for myself and get out of bed to get my recovery sped up. And I'm always so blessed on the way with people I meet, with things I get to see in nature and enjoy, and just getting that real connection to people and to nature, right? And I spend a lot of time with God there. So I wanted to talk about a video that's I'm very passionate about. And it's crying, and then it's weeping which are two completely different things. So crying is something you do like in your pillow, in your shower, like hiding. It's something that feels like it's draining you, that afterwards you just want to crash and go to sleep. It's helpless and lonely and desperate and just like, feels like you want to scream. That's crying. And then there's also the crying just walking with the Lord, what I do is weep. And when you weep, it's this very, very different experience that you feel this release, you feel lighter, you feel healed, you feel like it's left nothing, like a chain's been broken off. You just feel this like forever release and like this, thank you Lord, it's gone. Weeping is, when you're weeping with the Lord, it's healing. It's you just going through that emotion with Him. You're releasing it with Him, And being from New York, I have a more rough around the edges type personality. And we're kind of hard on the outside, right? So we bottle up everything, and we're tough, and we talk fast, and we talk loud. I usually do when my vocal cords aren't being strangled. But we're just taught, bottle it up, bottle it up, bottle it up. And it never goes away. It just sits there. And it's always playing in the background. It's always there with every decision we make. It's there with every outlet. It's there every time we try to self-soothe or self-meditate. It's time every day we cry alone, right? It doesn't actually go away. But once you start healing, it's just this beautiful, beautiful release of weeping with the Lord. And you just feel the spirit of the atmosphere. You literally feel the whole atmosphere shift, like you're just consumed with love. And everything around you disappears. I was actually at the lake, and I didn't even notice. I was just weeping with the Lord, and tears literally pouring out of my face, and sitting right at the lake, open in public, and my mom happened to walk up, and she's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And because I was so in the zone with the Lord, I was just like released and lighter, and it got it off my heart, but. There'll be times that it's not ideal, it'll just hit you, the Lord's like, time to release it, and you're like, hey, I'm in public, or hey, I'm walking in public right now, like, you really want me hysterically crying down this path? And He's like, yep, let it go, and you have to let it go, so like they say, Dad's like, nobody's looking, you gotta live. Especially for you really like something. Otherwise, it's gonna keep you in your house full. Your weird flare-ups that can happen at literally any single second. The fear of that would literally keep you paralyzed at home, and you get a fear and you get a faith, but you can't have both. And the Lord recently, after receiving prayer from the speaker at our church, He did a prayer of releasing me from the stress of the burden I carry from having this chronic illness, right? Because you're not able to financially contribute, you can't really do any extravagant meals. It's just as quick as possible so you can get off your feet, you're in bed still 80 to 90% of the time, so you're not active or doing anything or creating too many new memories, right? You're kind of out of it. So you just feel like you're not the parent you could be, you're not the partner you could be, you're not, the anything you could be. so you get this false sense of guilt, you know, of being a weight on people and just wanting to be like, hey, let me just get better so I can get a job, or, you know, let me get better so I can do this, or go to more of my son's games, you know. And for me, the evenings are 10 times worse than any time of the day. All the sporting events are at night. All the town meetings are at night. All the school meetings are at night. So I have to do literally everything at my worst. So after going through that prayer, later that day when I sat at the lake, and that's when I was weeping. Like nobody was looking at me because I was just with the Lord. And it spoke to my heart. And here's what I realized. My storm is my kids' storm. And it's my parents' storm. Because everyone in the world, you're deeply connected to your parents no matter how old you get. And you're deeply connected to your kids no matter how old they get. So you're tied, you know, so no matter what, if they're walking through a storm, if they're walking through an illness, sickness, you know, whatever storm they're walking through, you're emotionally walking through it, you're helplessly watching it, you know, it is your storm too. So I finally got to see it through God's eyes of what this storm is going to do for my children's lives and what a blessing it is and has been to my children and their character development and their compassion, their empathy, how it's going to change their lives, the people they accept, the way they accept the misfits and the people on the outskirts, you know. Many people always on the lookout for someone with a disability or struggling, and, you know, last time my daughter went to a concert, you know, just after seeing me in a wheelchair, she saw a girl with a wheelchair and ended up spending the whole concert with her and getting her home and everything, you know. Had I have not gotten sick, she wouldn't have even noticed her. So my storm, how it's a blessing to me, is a huge blessing to my children. And in that year that I took care of being a parent, my son became a man. And he's gotten 2 now. He spent his first on groceries. He just bought peer produce and was like, Mom, I bought groceries for the family. And then his very second one, he bought a power washer. He came up with a business plan all on his own to go around power washing cars and driveways. So now he has his water, his soapy water, and his power washer attached to it, carrying it around, knocking door to door in Geneva. So if you live in Geneva and my son comes to get a power wash, please do say yes. He's actually creating a Facebook page to try to advertise it. And he's doing all this on his own. And the reason he's doing this is because the blessing of my storm has taught him, hey, my mom can't work. How do I bring money into the household? How do I meet my needs? How do I be a provider? It's taught him how he spends his money. You know, it's taught him to be this young entrepreneur that he's just like, how do I take care of mom, right? And it's developed his character in 1 year from a little boy to a great, very aware man. You know, he went and he got himself signed up for soccer and all the funding and speaking to the right people on his own. He got himself signed up for football, and then when a family member sent school clothes money, he said, hey, can I take out this exact amount to get these certain supplies for football? And, you know, he was very, very responsible with it. He came up with a whole budget, picked out all his own clothes, you know, remembered socks, underwears, hair products, everything in with that, toiletries, you know, included. And my storm has just developed him to be that relationship with that entire group of people, and the owner of the place, and all the instructors there. So they called me to tell me, Ashley, there's an opening at so that was all his character building. And he went and he got a haircut at the barbershop for free, and it's just taught him responsibility. When he has money for groceries, it taught him to pick out produce for the family, not snacks and stuff a normal 13-year-old boy would pick out that has been completely deprived of for a year. And the way it's changed my daughter too. She's had to rise up and had to change my clothes when I'm paralyzed and help me to the toilet, or help me with very things you don't have to help with at my age typically. Times I can't even lift a cup or open a fridge, or stand or walk, or use my arms at all. She's become such this loving, kind-hearted caretaker, and she's 19 years old. Most 19 years old girls that are, super free-spirited and rebellious, and we're crazy-ass teens. They're, thinking about other things. She's thinking about how often she could come over, what she could do to help when she's here, and she plays like little mommy when she's here to me, and it's like all the nurturing that she received from me all those years. Now she's an adult giving it right back to me, and it's kind of like we traded places, and she's gaining compassion and empathy after the stage of rebellious teen, and everything about this storm has made my life better and brought healing and reconciliation and only good things to my family, and they just keep getting better. I'm 100% at the point when I turn around, but the wind is still so strong, I just don't even feel like I have the strength to walk into it. So it's probably easier to get pushed just a bit further. I know I could at least make it to the house on the lake and back. Them seeing me go through this and my faith has strengthened their faith astronomically. Both of them believing from the beginning of hearing I have a chronic illness, and at any second, any part of me could go paralyzed for any amount of years, or wheelchair bound, or whatever, People lose a million things that last the whole rest of their lives with this, right? And there's very, very low success rate. And that success rate is not for being healed. That success rate is for improvement. And anything from being paralyzed from the neck down would be counted as improvement. So I'd go under the category of improvement, even if all I could do is lift an extra elbow. So those statistics are a little skewed. But anywho, God just took that burden right off of me, and the way it strengthened my relationship, that we're going through all our vows before marriage, the richer for poorer, the better, the worse, the sickness and in health. And it's creating a rock solid foundation in us. We both have major trust issues, so to get God having this foundation under us, even though we went about it in a way that's not biblical, it ended up being really helpful for our relationship. And you think, I don't want to meet someone at my absolute worst, but literally I'm in bed at that point. It was like 99% of the time I could only leave to use the bathroom, right? And I was just like, hey, this is chronic. I don't know how long I'll be like this. And he's just like, you're going to be healed. And I was like, all right. And I was still having seizures 75% of every single day, So those were rough for him to see and get through. But God just kept And he let me get through it with that peace that passes understanding. You know, not worrying about losing income, not worrying about the food things. In fact, it brought a great passion into my life to fight for others going through the struggle of people on food stamps and malnutrition, and bringing awareness to the council. So it put something in my path that needed to be in my path to plant the seed of change, right? So everything that's come of this has not only been good for me, but everyone I've come across, everyone, you know, God brings into my life. Every experience I go through that then sharpens my desire to go after making change for that, right? Be the change you want to see and putting feet to your feet. And then he gives me that day's grace to attack whatever it is he tells me I gotta do that day. And you don't always feel ready when literally at any second, like you just drop like a sack of potatoes and then you're frozen. And it's usually minimum of hours, but could be days, could be weeks, you know, like just die. So nobody could even like give you an arm and you walk, nope, you're like a corpse, completely paralyzed. Any single second, just one nerve, boop, and I drop, you know, and or narcolepsy. I could fall asleep any moment, walking, talking, swimming, standing up, running, anything. Your body just, it doesn't actually fall asleep, it turns off. So people think, how do you fall asleep like that? It's not falling asleep. It's literally your body shuts off, and that's what our bodies do neurologically. If you overstimulate it, it's like a machine just shuts off. Like you could be standing there and you overdid it, all of a sudden you cannot speak, you cannot move, you're literally a dead from the neck down and speechless and have to be put to bed like a paraplegic. Like you can't just be like, yeah, I'll just push myself harder here or stay up past when my body allows. Nope. So what I've done is I've like separated myself from my body. I look at it not as us as a whole right now, because looking at us as a whole is then like, oh, I'm trapped in here, you know, my own personal torture chamber and I can't get out. But when I could just mentally kind of separate it, I could keep that mind over matter and like kind of look at it like an outside force, like telling it what it's going to do, telling it what it's not going to do, using, you know, distracting techniques, being hyper aware of any single thing that I know triggers me, or the second I feel anything come on, all right, if your breathing changes, if your pinky stiffens, like any single thing that you notice, you know, okay, I'm about to hit a flare up. If I don't do something to bring my levels down like super fast, anything could happen. So then you get to know what those signs are before that starts, like immediately. Like even seizures now, I have like 4 or 5 things that happen every single time in order before, and I could almost count from the moment of the first thing until the moment I have that the seizure is going to start, so I know where to go, you know, jump in a bush thing, hope it's not a thorn bush or poison ivy. But so what I do during those times, like I'll start looking out the water and I'll look far away into the distance, so it brings me so visually focused on trying to see the horizon that it takes the attention off my body. Because what makes your nerves fire is any change of emotion, any release of cortisol, any change of like blood pressure rise. So you always got to be like cool as a cucumber. But because you're having all the physical flare-ups non-stop, it's also learning how to instantly shut those down. And then also when you have those moments of the pain flare-up, how to not, how to put the pain on the back burner, right? And I tell everyone, no matter what, with this especially, it's like you don't use it, you lose it, and that's like almost instantly. A couple days not using it, it resets you real far. So I forget how to walk multiple times every single day. So I push myself to keep walking. And every time I can't walk, that's when I walk the most, you know. And I just do that song like, walk it out, walk it out. And I just walk it out, you know. And eventually my body remembers. But if I'm not just starting that memory and rebuilding that new neurotransmitter for it to start becoming a natural thing again, it's never going to stop. So I'd rather be out walking, resetting it 10 times a day and building that neurotransmitter in 2 weeks, you know, rather than having it take, 2 months, 2 years, whatever. So I use every single thing I can, every single day as much as I can. And when you're fighting for yourself, oh crap. So this is the house on the lake. That's my turnaround point. And then it's like directly into the wind. And I'm telling you, I feel gravity so strong. So when I feel wind and gravity, it's like being pushed down and completely like blown back. I feel like I'm being pushed in like a little square box, and my bones literally feel like they're just gonna take form, and I'm gonna pull like a pipe and just box up into the literal shape of a box. But that is the only distance my body will handle, and if I were to walk further, there will be bigger problems. So this is my second walk, by the way. I had to use my walker this morning, so I did 3 times up and down the lake. Saw my friend Aaron and his pup Paco. Had some great conversation, and he just looked like he was doing wonderful and just had some great news, so that was a great way to start my day. And then got to see Greg for coffee and have great conversation there, and see Mom, so that always brightens up my day. And Dante has been giving me no grief about going to school on time, so that has been real great, because most in the morning my either Tourette's or my stutter is so bad that I could barely articulate a single half a sentence. So that would be interesting, fighting with a teenage boy all morning in beatbox sounds and random bird and animal noises, whatever else. But I mean, it's so beautiful. And I was talking to Aaron today. I was like, what are you gonna do in the winter? And I was like, well, last winter I threw on a full-fledged snowsuit. And he laughed, and I was like, if I'm already my age walking with a walker, they already know something's wrong. The snowsuit's secondary on their mind, you know? And my one from last year was really, really tight on me. It was too short lengthwise, so it really hurt to walk in. So this year I'm going to get one in my size. So I'm super excited about that. And then I'm just going to do more things to be able to get out of bed. So when you get cold, you don't get cold like a normal person. You get cold like Sub-Zero literally froze you. And if somebody taps you, you're going to shatter. It's like every bone, every part of you, and also like your body doesn't regulate its temperature. So even if you touch anywhere in your body, anyone that touches you will be like, you feel like you're a corpse. So I had to stay under like 3 electric blankets, have one under me, over me, robes, tons of clothes. So it kept me in bed. So this year what I'm going to do is just get fur-lined everything. Fur-lined pants with fur-lined leggings with fur-lined sweatpants to put over them. The fur-lined friggin' shirt with a poncho, so it's like I'm walking around in a blanket at all time. You know, really, really warm gloves, fur-lined socks. I'm only going to wear fur-lined moccasins with my fur-lined socks. so that my body is functional enough to get out of the house so I could go back to my community group meeting. See, like right now my body's completely forgetting how to walk. So I'll walk goofy for a little bit. They call it like drop foot. I call it duck foot because you walk like a duck, but the proper name is drop foot. That your feet just start going like that and forgetting how to have any rhythm. So they're really hard to lift. And then at times, it just makes you fall. But I just focus on other things. And keep telling myself, you're what you focus on. And I know Jesus doesn't want me crawling home from here because it's all blacktop and that would hurt. And my knees are exposed, so that would hurt. But the stutter's clearing up today. I've had that severely since Sunday, like 80-90% of the day. Even up until I went to bed last night and this morning, so it just now started going away. So I was thankful for that, but some of the other flare-ups still making it pretty hard to talk. But at times I can't talk, I just listen. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, all right, Lord, I'm listening. Now you just speak to me. And those are the times I just kind of listen, what am I off to next, and putting more ideas behind things I'm already doing, and watering seeds I plant, figuratively, which I need to do literally. I stopped that garden. We have literally not one thing growing. That's going to have to be put on pause for a little bit. It was just to the point there were too many consecutive days every week that I could only leave bed to make it to the bathroom, so I couldn't water anything, so everything just kept dying. And then not having any heat the entire summer, and then not being able to open windows is like a weird little sauna. But I'm really glad the summer's done because I could go in the living room and stuff now. The heat was pretty sweltering, and I'd walk in there and be like, I'm going past out, But a lot of my videos are me talking as a distraction technique. I find when I do my lives and I talk, it just helps with symptoms because I'm super focused on doing something else. Sometimes I just play my Christian music, and I have to switch it up. But I'm actually going to go because I'm getting super, super shaky, so I'm going to conserve my speaking energy and use that up on getting home. I view myself like Thomas the Train. They put some oil in, but it only goes to so many parts, so you shut off some to keep the oil going in other parts. What I do play a lot of the times when I stop being able to talk, which is shutting down again, is the song Quiet. So I'm going to post that for you guys because it's a great song, and that's what I'm going to play now. So I'll post it once I listen to it, and you guys have a good one.